Alright, the Power Ranger sword has nothing to do with this video. I just want to play with it, so I'm holding it. Don't ask me which Power Ranger I got it from. It's cool though, right? I'm totally going to mount it on my wall. Anyway, today we're getting back to Amphibia reviews. We're talking about And Theft Auto and Breakout Star. That's the name of the second one. I'm trying to remember just based on what the episodes are about. Because they're both plays on words, obviously. And yeah, these were some more pretty good Season 1 episodes. I enjoyed revisiting them. Or visiting them for the first time, because I didn't remember either one of these before I went to rewatch it. I'd had the vague recollection that we had an episode with Bessie this early in the show, but I really didn't remember any of the specifics of either of these at all. That said, in the first of these two episodes, the aforementioned And Theft Auto, Anne asks if she can drive Bessie. And Hot Pop, surprisingly, for being Hot Pop, says yes, but only after she reads the history of Bessie, which is sort of akin to a car's service manual or something. Except that because Bessie is a creature and not strictly a mechanical vehicle, it really is a story of her life from Hot Pop's perspective. Anne finds that boring, though, and Sprig reaffirms that by confirming that he wasn't able to get past page 5. So she gets disheartened and decides that she needs practical experience, so she and Sprig go driving, and she handles it fine, except that Bessie retreats into her shell at one point for some reason, and neither one of them can figure out why. And so while Sprig goes to get help, or at least it tries to, he's thwarted by the consequences of his past actions, which was the funniest part of the episode. Anne stays behind and reads through the book, even really getting into it and starting to care about Bessie's story. And then she learns why Bessie's in her shell. Because there are predators nearby. These evil Sonic the Hedgehog things. One of which is even blue. So clearly they were trying to... Like they were making that reference. It's not just me. And based on the knowledge that she gets from the book, Anne is able to save herself and Bessie and get back home, even pick up Sprig on the way. And she decides to stay the night outside with Bessie and read through the rest of the book. And then the next day, Hop Up says the next step is to just go and get practical experience. Which means all she would have had to do was wait a day if she had just done it in the right order. And I liked this one. I thought this one was pretty good. It wasn't amazing, but I thought it was a pretty good episode. It was pretty fun. And there was that funny thing with Sprig, and I'm not gonna dig too much into it. It was just a gag, but I mean, it was a fun gag, and if you watch the episode, you'll see what I mean. Like, it didn't really have much of a practical message, because even though people will anthropomorphize their vehicles, real-life vehicles aren't alive, like Bessie. And so the only real practical message that this episode seemed to carry was something along the lines of follow directions, or do things in the right order, or don't try to get ahead of yourself, which is pretty valuable. But I also saw Bessie being so temperamental and needing such specific interactions to really operate at her fullest capacity to be kind of like, I don't know, a riff, a satire on how maybe you do have a car that you have to do weird little things to get it to work right. Or my last computer, for example. I really had to... Like, there were certain programs that shouldn't have interacted with each other at all, but if I didn't run them in the right order, or consecutively, or not consecutively, I couldn't get certain stuff to work. It was temperamental in a very unique kind of way. And a lot of devices are like that. A lot of devices can be like that. And I saw this as sort of a play on that. And I thought that was pretty cute. There isn't really any development here that we don't get elsewhere for Anne. It's just like general learning responsibility stuff. But the proper introduction to Bessie was pretty cool. Like, once she comes back out of her shell, literally, and starts working with Anne to get out of the situation they're in, because Anne knows how to handle her now, their interactions are actually pretty cool. They're full of character and personality that really shows off the kind of creature Bessie is. And it was pretty fun. But the next episode, I didn't love this one. Like, I didn't love Grand Theft Auto enough that I think it's diminished by being aired alongside Breakout Star, but I don't like Breakout Star. I don't hate it either. I don't have some huge issue with it or some like moral reason to despise it. I just thought it was a really mediocre episode that had kind of a bad message to it, but not like so bad that it was like egregiously bad. It just bad enough to be annoying, and I think maybe not something that you should tell kids definitively, because it could cause really annoying things to happen to them down the line. In this episode, Anne gets pimples, because of course she did. She's a human child, which she was like 12 or 13 at this point, so puberty age, right? And weirdly enough, even though the planters thought they were gross, when she goes into town with the planters later to sell scream beans, and the people in town see her, they think they're cool ruby red warts, and she becomes famous overnight, a sensation overnight, to the point that Mayor Toadstool, worrying about his re-election odds, forms this symbiotic relationship with her where she is seen around him, propping him up, and in return he's able to give her stuff, including a really opulent new apartment, which means that she gets to move out of the planter's basement. And the fame immediately starts to go to her head. Not severely, she's not like being outwardly horrible to anyone, but she seems to be acting above her old adopted family, and that bums Sprig out a bit. And that's when we get the message of this episode that I thought was not like egregiously morally horrible, but just not good, and it wasn't good. Where Hot Pop says that if someone that you know makes it big, you should continue to support them because they're still the same person. And like on one level that's correct, but like also if they're being really, really terrible and you still have their ear, tell them off. That's probably the better thing to do, frankly. Like, this is not a universally true statement, and Hop Pop just makes it like it is. And I didn't like that. It kind of put me off the episode. I'm also not a huge fan of Toadstool and Toadie. I don't mind them, especially later, but I'm not like super excited to see them in an episode. Like, I'm not. This is their first real episode. I don't like them enough to care, is my point. So, yeah, I actually walked away from the episode for a little bit when that happened, because it did annoy me a little bit. The rest of the episode was pretty good, though. It really stepped things up, and her pimples clear up. She wants to find a way to get them back, or at least pretend like she has, and she can't let the mayor or Toadie see her like this. She can't let her fans see her like this, because then she'd lose everything. So she goes to the planters for help, and she uses the word fan, causing Polly to make a Futurama reference.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
And in the end, they agree to help her find some berries that she can use to stimulate her pimples. But on the way to the berries, she is seen by her adoring fans. They don't see that she's without her pimples, but now they're bearing down on her, and they will find out, causing Hot Pop to make a Lord of the Rings reference.
Fly, you fools!
Utilizing a scheme which is the entire reason why she goes through the rest of the series missing a shoe, which is pretty funny. She gets to the berries, she puts them on her face, everything's fine. But then she realizes who her real friends are. That being the planters. She gives everything up, and she goes back to them. But because she still has the key to her new apartment, they're able to get at least one evening's use out of it to just go nuts and have fun. So in the end, some things worked out, I guess. And it's fine. It's a fine ending. It's a very cliche ending. And again, it's the kind of lesson that Anne's going to learn a lot in the show, just with like different nuances to it. And I don't feel like this one really did anything so different to really justify it being its own thing. Like, it's our proper introduction to Toadstool and Toadie, but like, I know they have their fans, but I just don't care about them. I like basically every one of the other townspeople better than I like them. So this one just didn't really do it for me. There were certainly moments in it that did. It didn't really do it for me overall. And Theft Auto I thought was way better. That said, what did you think of the Amphibia episodes and Theft Auto and Breakout Star if you have seen them? Let's get a discussion going in the comments section down below. And while you're down there, you might as well like the video, share it with anyone else you think would enjoy my content, subscribe if you haven't. You can also check out links to my various social medias as well as many ways you can help out the channel. Those will be in the video description, but either way, this has been AJ22 and I will talk to you guys later.